talk about this Michael Van Buren situation right here, G. So we were kind of talking about it, the potential of the red shirt, and here's my take on it, and I'll open the floor to you. So LSU is going to get him for about 2 to 3 years, right? You're able to 100% check, develop, and put him into a situation where you think he's going to be the guy. This is your guy. All chips going in on MVB. Um, I think the red shirt idea is good, especially from a sense where if somehow, some way, God forbid, knock on wood, I hope it don't happen, Nussmeier goes down, I think you could potentially burn a red shirt and just scratch and throw this whole idea out the window because more than likely Nussmeier is going to play all these games and going to have a huge year and going to try to scratch and claw to be the top prospect taken in the 26 NFL draft. So from that standpoint, I feel like it's smart because you're really only going to need him for a few games anyway. But are there any kind of like unknown effects or circumstances that are going to play into this, G, that I ain't thinking about?
Well, I understand what BK is trying to do when he says that they're going to redshirt him next year. So think about it from this standpoint. I think people forget this when they hear redshirt. You're still able to play 4 games.
Yep.
Right? So long as you don't go over that 4-game threshold, you're still eligible to be a redshirt. So I think what BK's thought process with this is, we knock on wood, nothing happens to Nussmeier, and you still have 3 years with Michael Van Buren. You get him to lose no eligibility. If something happens to happen to Nussmeier, knock on wood, of course they're gonna pull a red shirt and just throw him into the mix.
Yep.
And so I don't want people to have an overreaction to this, but I think Michael Van Buren, in my opinion, man, he's the future. I really, really like this kid. Mississippi, even though Mississippi State was awful last year, I happened to be watching the game, and it really was a coincidence. I happened to be watching the game. I think they was playing at a time where no good games was on. They was playing Georgia, and man, what I saw from that kid, mobility wise, being able to throw the ball, throw with anticipation, his poise, threw for 300 some yards.
Yeah.
Tutties. And he didn't look like the moment was too big for him. And they gave Georgia all they could handle in that game. And I remembered him from that. And then I thought back, and when we played against, we was in Miami playing against somebody, I can't remember. But the game before, he was playing with the team called Raw, a 7-on-7 organization out there in Florida. And I remember how he was spinning it. And I remember everybody saying, yeah, man, he was committed to Oregon at the time. And I never forgot him. And then when I was watching him against playing with Mississippi State, I'm like, man, that's that kid that played for Raw, 7-on-17. And so I said all that to say, I think this kid has all the makeup, man, to be a really, really good player at LSU when Nussmeier decides to leave. God forbid if something was to happen to Nussmeier, I think he is probably one of the best backup quarterbacks, if not the best backup quarterback in the SEC. You cannot beat somebody that has experience. You can't be somebody that has the arm talent along with that mobility and the mindset. And that's definitely what he has. So regardless if he red shirts or not, I think LSU is in good hand with Michael Van Buren.
Let's just take a moment to appreciate the fact that what you just said. You got so many quarterbacks at LSU. It's been a few years of just excellence. You potentially have the best quarterback room right now. You for sure had the best quarterback room 2-3 years ago with Jaden Daniels and Nussmeier. Now you're in a situation where Jaden Daniels goes out, excels at the NFL level. Nussmeier is about to come in, potentially go out, excel at the NFL level. Now you're not left at the drawing board, scratching your head, looking for a quick portal grab, looking for a quick fix. You got your guy who's been in your room, who's been in your system, who's been learning with your team throughout the season, the highs, the lows, all the in-betweens. LSU's in a spot where they're turning into a quarterback factory. And I mean, look, I feel like it was only a matter of time. You can't call them wide receiver U and all these different U's and then not have it eventually translate to the most important position. When you got all that talent, when you got all these big names coming out, I feel like it just makes sense for LSU to really knuckle down and understand your developmental you. Might not be able to give the biggest bag, G, but you could potentially give them the biggest outcome, at least in terms of platform, at least in terms of career experience and just getting you to the promised land. That's the 3 letters, NFL.
Yeah, and I want to touch on this too, man. With Jawan Johnson transitioning back to quarterback, which he played in high school, from what I've been hearing, man, he has been putting in a lot of work this offseason to prove that he should be considered as the next quarterback at LSU.
Really?
He's been working closely with Levi Lewis. If you're not familiar with Levi Lewis, this guy was starred at Scotlandville, was really, really good. Went to UL and had a hell of a career under Billy Napier. I think he has a couple records over there at UL. I think he only lost 3 games in 2 years as a starter. And so, and he's very cerebral and one of the smartest football minds I've ever been around, man. And so he's been working close with Levi Lewis, man. He's been doing a lot of throwing sessions with some NFL players, along with the LSU receiver coach. And so he's putting in the work. And if you know anything about Juwan Johnson, man, he has a mentality and he has a mindset to prove all the doubters wrong that he can get it done. And so it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see how it's going to play out. And I know I'm thinking ahead for when Nussmeier leaves. But although I'm very, very high on Michael Van Buren, do not sleep on Juwan Johnson pushing Michael Van Buren or whoever they decide to bring in after Nussmeier's leave to be the next starting quarterback at LSU. I think Juwan Johnson has what it takes. And it's going to be interesting. It's always good to have that kind of competition in the room.
I'm excited to see if we're going to get to see some throwing reps from Juwan during the spring period.
Yeah. From what I'm hearing, you will.
Okay. What do you think goes into a situation like that? Like if you're Brian Kelly, if you're Joe Sloan, if you're any of these coaches and you've got a really talented player that, has shown he's capable of this, but, he's not in that room. He's in the star or he's in the running back spot. How do you take this shot and just trust, like, all right, let's let him see this one through? Is it the extreme athleticism he's shown? Like, what is it that gets him into this spot where everybody's like, you know what? Let's try it out. Because this is abnormal. I haven't seen this.
Yeah, I'm gonna stand on this, man. I say this since they made the decision to switch back to quarterback. I think he should stay either in the DB room or the running back room. That's just my personal opinion, right? But if anybody can make a switch like this, especially to the hardest position on the field and thrive at it, it's Juwan Johnson. And
Right.
You have to know the kid and know his background and know what kind of mental makeup he has to understand what I'm saying. And so, although I disagree with it, I think he can figure it out, man, and have an opportunity, man, to put himself in position to possibly be the starting quarterback at LSU when Nussmeier leaves.
And this would be one of the best stories, I feel like, overall in terms of LSU and a player. This is a real buy in on yourself moment and completely change the whole course of your career. Because, look, DB money is good. Running back money is good. Quarterback money is the best. It's the cherry on top. You could completely change the trajectory here of your NFL career.